Hey everybody, it's Carm here. I'm coming to you on a pleasant June afternoon. Something a little different here. This is my duffel bag. I have a couple just like this. This is the smaller of the two, and the one I tend to favor more. I mentioned it last video, alluding to a bit that George Carlin had done about a place for my stuff. And I have a really good friend we go all the way back to childhood, getting close to 40 years we've known each other. But I've, from time to time, I'll house sit for him, watch over his dogs and his cat, and for like a few days at a time. And I'll bring this and decide, what to bring with me during that time, what'll fit in this bag comfortably. And it's usually, of course, mostly music, quite a few CDs, CD player, this little Walkman CD player, like a powered speaker. I could have brought them out to show them, but very basic little setup, a book or two, maybe a change of clothes, a couple changes of clothes, toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrush, and that's pretty much it. And this is partly a response also to a couple of videos I'd seen from a couple of folks I'd befriended over the last year or so. Really wonderful people, very kind people, which I'm really grateful to have come across and gotten to know. They do videos in the, I guess it could be called personality typology area, MBTI, Myers-Briggs, an area I'm interested in as well, although I never cared for this expression, but I think it's beyond the scope of my own something to really talk about. You hear the expression "stay in your lane," and I feel like it's not really my lane, but I do find it interesting, and we have a lot of correspondence based on that, as well as things in general. But I am attracted, as I say, to the people I come across for who they are as people, who they come across as people, and not necessarily for always the subject matter. But anyhow, it's what they were talking about in their respective videos that touched off further thoughts. One of them is named Dulles, goes under the name Dulles, and he'd done a video on largely what I want to talk about here is relationship to stuff, materials, the actual physical, tangible stuff of our lives. And also another friend who goes under the name Bufo Peregrinus, become a dear friend and sister, is talking about kind of cleaning one's own space and, in part the therapeutic aspect of that. I think it permeates the greater area of our lives from just cleaning our space and deciding what's important to us at that time as far as what we have. And it just got me back to thinking how when I was at my friends, just house sitting and hanging out, looking at my bag and looking at what I had in there and just imagining, what if this really was all I had in the world as far as things? Everything I owned was in this bag, and would I be content with that? And funny thing, while I was there this last time, which I think was a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, I was thinking, geez, by the end of that time I stayed there, I hadn't even listened to all the CDs that I'd brought, maybe a little over half of them, and I read maybe half of one of the books, of the 2 books I'd brought, and some other things didn't even really get looked at that I had in the bag. And I thought, geez, this is almost too much. But yet, when I went home and looked at all my stuff everywhere, stacks of books and music and piles of clothes in bags that I've been meaning to take to Goodwill for a month now. Like, oh, look at all this. Here's my stuff. Here's my domain full of stuff. And then after a while, it reality, quote unquote, sets in, and I realize, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with all this? I was, in a way happier when it was just what I had in this bag. But also imagining, what if I had come home from my friends and there was nothing there at all? Just the cats, their food and water, and maybe a bed, pillow, and blanket, but everything else was gone. Everything else I had was gone. Just imagining that. All the gifts I'd ever been given, anything I'd collected over 30, 40 years, just no more. How would one react and respond to that? Beyond the initial, shock and horror and, sadness and everything else. You'd like to think eventually there'd be a sense of resignment, like, well, what could I do about this? It's gone and there's nothing you can do. And perhaps even eventually a sense of liberation, like, well, I have nothing. It's like the old, I forget who said it originally, Leo Buscaglia say it, when you have nothing to worry about. I think, would that be, how would one handle that? And, it just over and over, these last few weeks, it kind of kept bringing me back to that. What would it be? If you had a bag this size, this is all you had, and you had the choice, either keep everything you have, or whatever you could keep could only fit in this bag comfortably, and that was it. What would you choose? And I still, kind of muse over that. And that's all I'm really doing here, is just kind of musing over this. Just feel like, just kind of posing the question. It's of course an ongoing process, and I think all of our respective lives, knowing what's important to us in general, just with everything, but when it comes down to the materials, the physical and tangible, what could we really do without? What couldn't we? What's sentimental to us, which, I was born that way myself. I feel nostalgic and sentimental. And there's certain things I know that when I see them or I handle them, it brings me back to, the autumn of 1987 or summer of 95, or when I was with this person at this place with this certain song playing and this image flashing by. It all comes back tenfold, even clearer than before when seeing this. Could you do without it if you had to? And there's so many other, things that could spring from that. But again, I'm not coming to any particular conclusions or no real closure here. Again, it's just ongoing. But I'm wondering what you all think of this. How do you relate to the stuff in your life, the actual stuff? I don't know, of course, in the VC, of course it's with music, records and CDs and your equipment, and when is enough enough? I think that was a Robert Z thread topic from years ago. Or what items, favorite items would you save in an emergency, fire, what have you, the 3 albums or in the case of, the book community, favorite books, what are priceless to you, and whatever else. But I'm just speaking broadly, in general. How do you relate to, the materials of your life? And, well, have you been in situations where, you had to choose, or, when you're going away, what do you take with you, and, what's your kind of, maybe your lucky piece, or are you content with just, could you really just have nothing and just hold it all in your heart and memories, and that's enough? I think that would be the ultimate thing, the ultimate liberation in a sense, in that area. So, I don't know. Just rambling, probably inconsequentially and maybe not very coherently, but just a lot of things that have been touched off by those particular folks and their videos, and just thinking about it a lot lately, just kind of musing over it over the last few weeks, and just wondering what you all think of it. So, just wanted to come on with that. Wasn't the video I was intending to do. There's other ideas as ever swirling around, and inspirations, and I hope to get to them sooner or later. But just felt like coming on and doing this. So I hope we're all well with your stuff, material or otherwise, or with or without it, whatever you're most contented with, and you have the most peace of mind. And yeah, hope all is well. And until the next one, peace, love, and joy.